All right, anything else other than my facial hair?
I think we're good.
All right.
Brian just mentioned that you guys have the longest home winning streak over UCLA, tied for longest in Bruins history. Arizona's the only one that's won 8 in a row. Is there a particular reason why you've had success here?
I have no idea.
You're surprised to hear that?
Surprised that it's the longest in history? I guess, yeah. Yes and no. UCLA has been awfully good over the years. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I just know it has nothing to do with Saturday at 11 o'clock.
Is there a different juice when a name like UCLA comes in, even beyond senior day, but just the fact that UCLA is in the building?
In general, I think that it is. UCLA is a rich program in terms of tradition. So in general, I think people really respect what they've done in the past and who they are today.
Would you do well defensively at their place?
We just tried our best to stay in front of their guys. A couple times Larry Drew got away from us, and I don't mean the last shot, but several times during the game. But we just tried to stay close to them on their screens and keep them in front of us. The thing we have to do much better this time is take care of the basketball league. They scored 19 points off of our turnovers, and that game was in the 50s.
How would you compare UCLA right now to the team, the team that you saw against Washington State compared to when you guys played them? I mean, I know one of the Wares is going to be out probably. I mean, it sounds like
The team that when we played them last time, or Washington State played them?
when you played them compared to
Los
what
Angeles.
their last game was.
Yeah. They were nothing like they were in their last game. That wasn't the UCLA team that we're going to face tomorrow. But, I still think they're a group that's capable of going out, putting their mind together collectively and being extremely dangerous. I said the same thing about USC. I think UCLA, they have so many guys that can score. Jordan Adams can get 30 as a freshman. And people talk a lot about Kyle Anderson and Shabazz Muhammad. Jordan Adams is a load.
I don't want to have you comment on Ben Howland specifically, but just in general, when there seems to be some turmoil going on, or at least some perceived turmoil with the team, and the head coach isn't sure what's going on, it just, how much of that do you feel like, just based on your experiences in teams that you've seen over the years, does that really play a big role in what's going on, or is that more of a kind of a superficial issue that people see?
Things that go on behind the scenes within a team situation, not just basketball, within a company, anywhere when there are a collective group of people getting together trying to strive for the same purpose. If there is dissension within the group, conflict within the group that isn't resolved, you can really be totally baffled as to what's going on, what's wrong. And sometimes you don't know, but there's something there. And there are a lot of things that I'm not good at, but one of the things I think I've been able to learn to recognize is when there's something going on. And you don't know what it is. At that point, you got to start digging, trying to find out what it is. And usually there'll be something. There'll be something in there that you go, wow, that's what it was. So there's a number of things that could be going wrong that you don't realize.
Do you feel like that could be an apt comparison for UCLA, given just kind of the ups and downs of their year, given their talent?
You've heard me say this many times. What Colin Perry did at Kentucky, win a national championship with those freshmen, I think it's been done twice since I've been following college basketball. One of those years they didn't win it, but it was the Fab Five. Those were two special groups. They start 3 freshmen. And those three freshmen carry a major load in what they're doing. And the other night, they scored, all three of them scored 20 points in their game before Washington State. But a lot of times, freshmen can be up and down. There can be nothing wrong, nothing going on, but freshmen can be up and down. They can just dominate on most nights, but there's some nights where you just scratch in your head, what just happened? And a lot of times it's due to just freshmen being freshmen.
So that can also maybe account for the road effort last night. Just
It definitely could account for that. Definitely could account for that. And that's not to discredit what Washington State did at all. But I think anybody who watched the game would be able to tell you that UCLA team wasn't playing the way they're capable of playing that night.
Is it, though, there anything from that game that you can say, we can take away from that and we can do that as well?
Oh, it's hard to say because I don't know how many nights they're going to go play the way they did. The layups they gave, I guarantee that's been addressed, how many layups they gave up the other night. It's not going to do that every night. So it's hard to say, okay, that's how you do it with that situation.
given that, are there some things within your own team chemistry and how it's developed? Obviously, the emergence of Gernard starting to play more, Kemp and Andrews starting to mature more. Are there some things that maybe you can do a little different that maybe you couldn't have counted on the first time you played UCLA?
Well, take care of the ball better for starters. That game, I didn't think we were hitting on all cylinders. You just mentioned three guys that are now playing pretty consistent basketball.
Right.
But you mentioned the younger guys. Well, throw Abdul Gaddy in there, who had a good game against UCLA, but throw Scott Sugden in there also. You know, I just think we have more guys that are playing at a higher level than when we played them last time. And I think we're doing a better job of taking care of the basketball than we did last time. Now that's tricky because UCLA, they force those turnovers. They're good enough to get in those lanes, and a lot of times what those freshmen may not understand in terms of the system, because they haven't been there longer than a year, they do have great basketball instincts. Those guys know how to play the game, and when you're doing that, you can anticipate where passes are going. You know when to help, when to go for a steal, and they force a lot of turnovers. So go back to that game, the 19 points that they score off turnovers, and 18 points they scored on second chance points. It's 37 points. They beat us at the buzzer. So, you know, we would hope that we would take care of the ball better, rebound better.
In these past 5 games, it seems as if you've found something or regained something. And obviously, in the past, your teams have been known for that, to like get better down the stretch here. Was there a point where you thought that maybe it wouldn't happen this season?
No. Call me on it, fellas, if you say, no, you were thinking. But I think I've been pretty consistent saying we're this close, yet we're so far away. But there's just some things we need to get right here, and we can turn it around. And I've always believed that.
One of the guys that's been key in that is Scott. I think he's averaged 19 the last three games.
Yeah.
Didn't talk about it post game on Wednesday, but at the beginning of the game, it really looked like he was going to have one of those struggling nights again. And defensively, it looked like he was a little slower, and shots weren't necessarily going down. What was it about that particular performance where he was able to turn it around? And did you look at that and go, okay, that's the Scott that I know, that's the Scott I think we can count on the rest of the way?
I think Scott's focus has been a little different. If I'm a wide receiver in football and my whole identity is when I catch a pass, if I don't catch an entire ball in the first half, I'm going to lose interest. I'm going to feel like I'm not part of what's going on. I think Scott's been more than that. I think his approach has been, how many rebounds can I get? How many deflections can I get? Doing other things other than just scoring. And when you have that identity, when you go through scoring droughts, mentally you're still in it because you're still doing other things. And then when that happens, you can hit a couple, and now you get going. When we played USC at USC, Scott was having a tough game. He was struggling first half. Second half, he came out, transition, got a layup. Then he was able to get a backdoor layup, and then he got in the zone from there. So sometimes you can break out of that just by getting lost in the game, and I think that's what he's been doing.
Has CJ and Scott been kind of similar this season, maybe that way? Trying to, when their shots aren't falling, they've really worked hard to try to find other ways.
Scott has recently. I didn't think Scott did it as much before.
Right.
But recently, I think he's done a much better job of that. Now, CJ, yes, I mentioned before, UCLA game last time, he had a tough game from the floor, but I think he passed for 7 assists. You know, a tough game against USC, but he had 6 steals. You know. He had 8 rebounds a couple of games, so he's done that before.
What's your best or most memorable senior day moment? Either the kids or families or the actions?
Wow, senior day moments for me might have been John Brockman coming out and just maybe just both of us with a high level of concentration to not cry. And I think he might have had a little better concentration than I did. I remember Quincy Pondexter just being so hyped. And it was a college game day against UCLA. He came out and hit his first jumper. And he went, phew. Like, I'm not going to have one of those where it's senior night and I go 0 for 20. You know, I hit it. Okay, now I can just go play. And he had a monster game. That game, I remember those two probably.
And then what you did for Brandon last year, and it's obvious that you treat this game differently as a coach and how you value it. But where did that come from?
Brendan Shear?
Brendan, I'm sorry, Shear.
Yeah.
It's obvious that you treat it differently. Where did you get that to make it more than just?
The only difference would be the senior start. That'd be the only difference. Everything else is the same. And excuse me. When I was at UCLA, Coach Herrick would do that with the guys if they were seniors. And I remember we were playing Louisville. They were really good. Nope, this is what we do. Sure, Coach. Yep, this is what we do. We were fine. The guy, the walk-on that was a senior, he didn't hurt us. In a few minutes he was in there, we won the game. Last year I think we won the game with Brendan starting. Yeah.
What's it say now about seniors finishing? It's different than it was even, as you know, 10 years, 15 years ago, that 4-year player, 3-year program, to have a senior day.
I think those that are 1 and done, 2 and out, go early, they really help your program. They're talented enough, they really help you. They usually bring your program a lot of publicity, notoriety, helps with recruiting, all that. But I think the seniors that fight through the wars are the backbone of your program. When they're seniors, it's beautiful to watch how they're constantly talking to the other guys and policing the other guys. They know they could, in some ways, coach the team because they understand how things work around here. And I think it's just great to see all that come down at the end. With, you know, a guy like Brendan Shear or someone else who never started in a game, you never want to do things at the expense of losing the game in that regard. You know, if it's a disciplinary action or something like that, that's a different story. But guy busted his tail for you, and he can say, yeah, I started in college, you know, whereas he never had a chance to do that before. And y'all have asked me many times if you change the lineup, is it a big deal to start, get your, yeah, everyone wants to start. And finally, in your last game, and that one guard, you know, to hear from so-and-so, and you get to come out of there. It's pretty special that day. It's a day you never forget. So for a couple of minutes, I think it's worth it.
And if you had to sum up this senior class, how would you do that? Like, these guys brought what?
These guys brought a lot. These guys won a lot of games. They were able to experience championships themselves. And you know, this year, you know, been asked a lot about our leadership this year. I think, you know, it was kind of slow cooking. But I think now at the end of the year here, I think our guys have really learned how to lead. I think they're doing a good job right now.
And they came from different years, you know, with Scott 5 years, Abdul 4, and then Aziz 3, and obviously they came together, sort of like this, like it. So you come in with one class, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to end with them.
No, it doesn't. I'd like to do a little research on classes where you sign 5, 6, 7 kids, and see how many of them were there when they're seniors. For whatever reason, they're not. You know, this particular group, though, all 3 of them experienced some type of major injury too, that held them out for a season. Aziz was a little bit here, but his sophomore year in college, junior college, all 3 of them share that same common situation.
All right, anything else?